This is Mel Thompson, and this is a podcast and a series of podcasts about political risk. Today, we're going to be discussing labor issues in Spain. Labor issues that are pushed to the forefront due to changes in government must be planned for from the standpoint of a political risk. A good example of governmental induced labor issues are those that have occurred in Spain over a period of time. Spain, which has seen multiple strikes due to EU austerity measures between 2012 and 2014, is certainly no stranger to labor unrest and labor issues as a very, very obvious political risk that needs to be mitigated. Now, Spanish labor groups and unions are opposed to cuts to health and education and welfare benefits. They have always been, like most labor unions. Their main point of leverage is in the form of a strike. Labor stoppages and slowdowns are the absolute right of workers and should be respected. In fact, without them, you would have a much higher political risk in other areas, particularly health related labor costs. However, even when you have something that is actually good, even though it doesn't appear to be good, there's always another part of this that could come back and create a much larger political risk. Even if you look at a labor strike, a peaceful labor strike, or a slowdown, you still tend to have other issues that crop up that create ancillary political risk to this particular um, risk that's right in front of you. In the case of Spain, it's a political risk most acute in markets dependent upon auto and metal workers who went on strike to protest austerity cuts. Now, this is an example that should actually resonate with a lot of people because most people drive or they've at least been in a car or a vehicle of some point, so they will understand this. Industries directly impacted by this particular strike in the auto that impacted the auto metal workers. Those people who went on strike were suppliers or worked for suppliers of automotive parts and anything that required metal to function. That's a very, very large group of items. Production slowed to a very low rate of movement, even though companies brought in replacement workers. Unions are very united on the issue of not crossing another's picket line. I personally don't think it's a good idea to cross the picket line. I think it's actually wrong. So now you have to look at it from the point of view of the actual workers who are on strike. They're not happy either. What you start to see is that the replacement workers were there, but they were not able to function because there were no supplies getting through. Because there are a lot of people like me who think you should not be crossing the picket line. And those are the people that had to bring in the raw materials to produce these parts. Supply chain slowdown in the automotive industry meant that you had to start looking for new sources. Look for new sources means the prices go up because people start to realize that there's a demand. Demand raises costs, so on and so forth. It's more than just a political risk that's always in front of your face, such as a strike or a slowdown. There's a lot more going on. Those costs that went up in the automotive industry still impacted the foreign direct investor and companies doing business in Spain, even after the strikes were over, or even those who were not directly impacted by the strikes, they were impacted. Consumers were impacted because the costs went up. The cost of the vehicles went up. The cost of metal went up. All the things that are essential to a functioning economy do tend to rise and fall cost wise based upon political risks that are sometimes not viewed as a direct cause of their cost changes. Everything is connected. The world is globally connected economically. We are connected through supply chains and many, many other ways. So the focus should not just strictly be on what's in front of your face when it comes to mitigating a political risk, particularly one that's labor related. It should be on all the other things that are going to happen within a larger universe of supply chains and how those things end up costing you more, even after the particular political risk, in this case a labor issue, that you're dealing with, is resolved. It's resolved, but the impact has ripples going through other parts of your investment and your company that you don't see right off. This has been Mel Thompson.